Yes, this is Silkworm from American Sammy. In the 1990s, scientists had completed the artificial brain MHC2, however, in order to rule over man as their god, the MHC2 began to control the weapons of the world. Ah, no, screaming woman. Robert, Stacy, get in the G-Cobra and B-Panther and set out immediately. Roger. Okay, everybody got that? So Silkworm was unique for, no, I don't need to see it again. There we go. You could either pilot a helicopter or a Jeep, and I'm going to show them both off. I'll start with the Jeep. The Jeep is probably the tougher of the two. As you can see, you have a movable turret. Can go all the way back. You can jump, which will shoot glass at the ground. Very helpful for things in your way. This can be a little tricky in some respects, because there are things that the Jeep needs to deal with that the helicopter can just completely ignore, like those tanks down there. There are things that the helicopter will have a much easier time with, but there are things that cause the helicopter no end of issues. And twin there, we now have double shots. Notice, by the way, when you have twin, you do not get that ground shot unless you are facing the cannon straight forward. So a little bit of history on this game. This was a arcade game of the same name. There was a lot more going on in the arcade game, as you can imagine. The limitations of the NES actually help a lot here because it makes Silkworm a ton more survivable. The arcade game is a credit feeder like you would not believe. And turbo, you fire even faster. This game actually had two ports from the arcade. One was the NES, and the other was the Commodore 64. In case you're interested, Rick. Those are the Silkworms, those fast missiles there. And boss incoming. Those Silkworms are a bitch for the Jeep, because you have to fire, as you can see, at the... I don't think so. You have to fire at the spot right below the main turret, but that means potentially jumping into a Silkworm missile. There was a follow-up to Silkworm, basically a spiritual successor, not really a true sequel. It had various names. It was called Mega Swiv, S-W-I-V, in Japan. The Swiv was actually rumored to stand for Silkworm 4. There was not a Silkworm 2 or 3, though. We actually got that game here in the United States for the Super Nintendo as Firepower 2000. And you can see a lot of the similarities because, you know, there's mines you shoot and you can get the shields out of them. First and foremost, you also have a Jeep and a helicopter you can choose from. And that is our first emblem that we'll get. The great thing about the emblems, normally if you die, you lose your turbo fire. And that tank is really no threat at all to the Jeep, but I want to get rid of it anyway. But normally if you die, you lose your turbo fire and your twin fire. If you have an emblem, if you die and continue, you keep them. I played, like I said, I played the arcade version of this when I was trying to figure out exactly which version to go with. the arcade version is a credit feeder like all hell, and in fact, as soon as you get to Wave 7, you are no longer able to continue from any wave you get to past that. So yeah, if you are able to continue, but you go back to Wave 7, not the wave you were in. And as you can see, if you shoot the shield enough, it becomes a screen clearer. Yeah, in the arcade, there's no limitation for, number of objects on screen. But in the arcade, you can have a ton of things coming at you at once. And these helicopters are much more of a threat to the heli because of the Silkworm missiles. You just have to be careful not to stay in front of them for too long. The Jeep really doesn't have much to fear from them. Kind of the same thing with the heli and the tank. It just has to tilt downward to fire, but it's not going to be in any danger from the Silkworms. If there's one downside to this, it's that there's only one music track to speak of in the game, but that was actually the case in the arcade too, so... And you have these things with the sideways helicopter rotors. Don't ask me how in the hell they stay afloat. Or aloft, whatever. Don't ask me how they stay whatever. You got tiny little helicopters here making things difficult. You do have to be very careful with the Jeep's jumping because, you have one type of jump, and you cannot vary the height on it. So it's very easy to use the standard jump, thinking you're going to be okay, and then just completely run yourself into something. I do remember beating this a long time ago as a kid when I didn't have rewind. And these things are annoying as the Jeep because they will jump and separate every time the Jeep jumps. And you see things starting to get a little thick here. And then we have that Chinook that just takes a shitload of shots. I don't know if you even can destroy it. No. One way you can kind of fake the robots out is do a jump to get them to separate, and then get an angled shot in on them, and that'll take them out. Yeah, I think that helicopter is called the Snakebite. All of these vehicles have a name. I don't remember most of them. And we're going to have a ground vehicle again, I believe. Yeah, this tank, you can't do anything to it until it opens its clamshell. And then it's going to fire out a Silkworm missile a couple of seconds later. But you can get up in its face like that. It's a risk. But you can do it. Some of the biggest dangers of these tanks for the Jeep are crowding you in, because if they contact you, you will explode. And they will eventually try to crowd you in onto the left side of the screen. You can jump, but you can't jump far enough to get over them. One other difference between these controls and the arcades that make the NES version much more playable, in my opinion. In the arcades, there are actually 3 buttons. For the heli, one button fires forwards, one button fires diagonally downwards, and then the third button tilts down at a 45-degree angle so it can shoot straight downwards. For the Jeep, it works a little differently. One button will fire the cannon. One button will cause it to jump, which will, if the cannon is straight forward, which will cause it to fire straight down. The other button... No. The other button... These things are ridiculous. The other button actually is used to rotate the cannon backwards. Now here on the NES, it's just hold it up or down to rotate it backwards or forwards. This thing is annoying. That's how you gotta get through. You gotta wait for that one open part. Rick, no, I haven't, but now that I know of its existence, I saw somebody else Let's Play it, I'm interested to try it. And especially since I know that it's related to Silkworm in some way, because I always really did like this game. Super Swiv! Yeah, Super Swiv in Japan, that's right. Well, that was dumb. Even as low as those helicopters get, it's often a good idea just to just drive under them. Now, let's see, we're approaching the Wave 4 boss here, and there is somewhere in this room an emblem. I just have to figure out where to shoot. There it is. Now, being able to do this while I'm dodging the helicopter fire is going to be a pain. There we go. Now, the emblems actually, I should correct myself from earlier, the emblems are actually what you need in order to retain your twin and turbo when continuing. And I think there's something else to them. I don't remember what it is at the moment. When I recall it, I'll put it in the video. But yeah, getting this emblem and the next emblem actually will do something else. Oh, interestingly enough, there are two emblems in that room. One is at where the Jeep can get it, and one is where the helicopter can get it. So if you're doing a two-player game, you can't steal your partner's emblem. The helicopter, if it tries to take the Jeep's emblem, will literally fly right through it. This is, as you might have seen from the start, a two-player co-op game where you can both pilot one of the other vehicles. That was close. At some point, those tanks on the ground will start firing at the Jeep. I don't know when that occurs, though. And I'm not anxious to find out. Oh, and a little further proof there, if you have a shield, when you pick up another shield, it'll go to the screen clear. Will you get shoot? Will you get shoot? You good rhythm to shoot. I thought that was the tank firing, but it was the pillbox behind it. Okay, that's tough because, you know, between those missiles and the Silkworms coming, I did not want to jump at all. Give you the hot bullets of shotgun to die. Those can be tricky for the Jeep, because as you can see, if you shoot the parachute, they'll fly down a lot faster. Otherwise, they'll do that. They'll just run you right the hell over. Oh, just to mention also, American Sammy was responsible for the arcade version of this too. This wasn't something that somebody else did the port for them. And we'll see if we can follow our usual strategy here. See how long that lasts us. And that did pretty damn well. I'm doing so well with the bonus helicopter question mark times 100. Yeah, okay. I'm doing so well with the Jeep here. Normally I would get killed and switch off to the heli, but as I go higher up in these missions, I really need the firepower, so I'm not inclined to do that. This episode's emblematic lack of skill was made possible by Mike Panza, Rick in Baltimore, D.I.O.D., Gizmo Gremlin, Jumpy Cat, the post-production work of Matthew Carr Anderson, and all my Badge of Honor Lycanthro fans. Thank you very much for your continued support. Until we game again.